There is something interesting about using the PS5 in 2026. It does not demand attention anymore. It just works most of the time. That alone says a lot. Early complaints around heat, crashes, and storage shaped the conversation for years. Now, after updates and revisions, the noise has lowered. But silence does not always mean success. So today we talk through that experience. This is about living with the PS5 and understanding what Sony actually fixed. Let's get started. When we talk about the PS5 in 2026, we need to slow down and look at where it all started. We are still using the original PS5 that we bought around launch. Overall, it has been a good experience, but not without a few annoyances. We dealt with heat concerns, random shutdowns, limited storage, and controller battery life that struggled with long sessions. Now, after years of updates and newer versions, the question is simple. Does moving to a newer actually make sense? Or is the original still good enough for how we play? Well, the hardware revisions, especially the PS5 Slim and PS5 Pro, feel like Sony learning from real-world use rather than lab testing alone. The core design still uses the same custom AMD CPU with Zen 2 cores and RDNA 2 graphics, but the way heat moves through the system feels more controlled. Also, the rest mode works more predictably, updates install quietly, and crashes feel rare rather than expected. That alone changes how we interact with the console, since we stop worrying and start playing. So now let's look at what Sony refined under the hood. One of the biggest concerns early on was cooling, especially around the liquid metal setup. In practice, the newer revisions have made that topic much quieter. Better brackets, improved pressure control, and small design tweaks around the APU tray all work together. We still recommend good airflow and occasional cleaning, since dust remains the silent enemy of any console. However, the fear factor around liquid metal feels much lower now. Coil whine still exists, and we should be honest about that. Some units make a faint buzzing sound under heavy GPU load, especially at higher frame rates. This does not affect performance, but if you are sensitive to noise, you may notice it in a quiet room. It feels like luck rather than a design flaw, and it exists across many high-power electronics. For most of us, it fades into the background once a game pulls us in. Storage has also improved in a practical way. The PS5 Pro ships with a 2TB SSD, which feels far more comfortable in 2026 when modern games easily cross 100GB. Load times remain fast thanks to the custom SSD architecture with high bandwidth and hardware decompression. Expanding storage stays simple since the internal M2 slot accepts standard drives with a heatsink. This gives us flexibility, which matters when storage prices move up and down. One point worth discussing is the missing disk drive on the PS5 Pro. For digital-focused players, this may not matter much. For physical collectors, it adds extra cost and friction. Software updates have done heavy lifting over the years. The system interface feels smoother, faster, and more predictable. Navigation between games, media apps, and settings flows without hiccups. That smoothness reduces friction, which helps sessions feel relaxed rather than technical. Performance improvements show up most clearly on the PS5 Pro. With a stronger GPU, faster memory, and added compute units, optimized games can hold higher frame rates more consistently. In many cases, performance modes on the Pro look close to fidelity modes on the base PS5, which changes how we choose settings. Instead of choosing between smooth motion and visual detail, we often get a balanced middle ground. PSSR, Sony's AI-driven upscaling, plays a growing role here. Early versions felt uneven in certain titles, but updates have improved edge handling and reduced shimmer. In practice, this means games can target higher resolutions without heavy performance loss. Not every title benefits equally, since developers need to support it, but momentum is moving in the right direction. For us, this also hints at lessons Sony is learning for future hardware. Connectivity has improved as well. Wi-Fi 7 support on the PS5 Pro allows faster and more stable downloads, assuming your network supports it. Controller dropouts and network hiccups still happen occasionally, but troubleshooting usually solves them quickly. Compared to launch, these feel like exceptions rather than patterns. The DualSense controller remains one of the most distinctive parts of the experience. Adaptive triggers and haptics still add texture to gameplay, especially in first-party titles. Battery life on newer revisions lasts longer than before, though heavy haptics still drain it faster than some of us would like. We often keep a cable nearby, which feels practical rather than frustrating at this point. When we step back and look at the full picture, the PS5 in 2026 feels mature. Most early issues have been addressed through design tweaks and steady software updates. Minor quirks remain, since no device is perfect, but they rarely interrupt play. The console feels quieter, cooler, and more predictable than its launch version. So have all the issues been resolved? Not entirely, but enough that they fade into the background. What remains feels manageable, especially if you understand your own habits and expectations. If you value stable performance, fast loading, and a growing library that takes advantage of modern hardware, the PS5 today feels confident in its role. As we move deeper into this generation, it finally feels like the console is doing what it was always meant to do. It supports long sessions, heavy games, and evolving technology without asking for constant attention. And that, for many of us, is exactly where a console should be by now. That was all. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you found it helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more reviews.